Hey there, welcome to the Business Behind the Game, where we break down the business side of sports from emerging trends to the people and companies shaping the industry today. I'm Kushag, and today we have a really exciting guest, Mr. Wells Thompson. Mr. Thompson is a former professional soccer player turned sports executive. After playing in Major League Soccer, he transitioned into leadership roles in the business side of sports and currently serves as the founder and CEO for Soccer Resilience, where he focuses on the mental side of sports, working with D1 head coaches, clinical psychologists, and more. Before we start today, Mr. Thompson, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, I'm so glad you can make time for this, and I'm excited to get this started. So, just to start off, how did you get into soccer, and what was your journey like going from playing professionally and into eventually working on the business side of the sport?
I got into soccer like most kids, just my parents. I have an older brother, and so he played, and
Mhm.
so I think naturally I wanted to play.
Yeah,
But God created me to love sports, so I played
yeah,
everything, man. Hockey, baseball, basketball, soccer. I swam, played tennis, golf. I
yeah,
just love to play. So obviously God had really blessed me with a gift, and I've had really incredible people in my life that have helped me along the way. My parents first and foremost, and was just, man, honestly blessed to never thought I'd play a day in college, let
uh-huh,
alone let alone professionally.
yeah,
So I was able to do that 9 years, and the transition sucked. It really
yeah,
sucked.
yeah,
It's actually still pretty hard, believe it or
mhm,
not. A lot of identity issues. I think, I really just saw myself as a soccer player for most of my life. But you have something in your life. I mean, I started playing soccer when I was 4 or 5. So I
yeah.
retired when I was 32, 31, 32.
Wow, that's a
So
real
you
long
do the
time.
math, right? You have something in
Yeah,
your life for that long and then it's gone, and it's a difficult thing to kind of process through.
yeah. I just want to follow up on that. Like, um, playing at a professional level, let alone college, is extremely hard. Can you talk like what did you realize like you could get to that next level, and how was it like experiencing like the top level of sports?
Um, I actually didn't. I mean, I was kind of one of those guys, like, how everyone says, like, man, I always wanted to be a pro athlete.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's just like boys in general, like, but I didn't think about it.
hmm,
My life and my journey through soccer has been very different and tumultuous, very
hmm,
up and down. I got in a lot of trouble as a kid. So
yeah,
I actually spent from 16 to 18 in a school for troubled kids lockdown facility in upstate New York.
hmm,
So nobody was recruiting me to really play college soccer. I
hmm,
grew up 5 minutes from Wake Forest University. If you know anything
hmm,
about college soccer, they're like one of the best programs in the nation and have been for
hmm.
20 years.
Wow,
And they just invited me as a walk-on. And so, I was competing against guys that captain our U.S. youth national team.
wow, yeah,
And so I just kind of always been an underdog and just
hmm,
fought. If you watch me play, I play with a lot of grit and tenacity. I live my
hmm,
life that way.
yeah,
And so I actually didn't really know, man. Even my senior year, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was invited to the combine,
hmm,
um, and man, just dreams came true. I got drafted fifth overall in
wow,
2007.
wow, yeah,
And so at the time, it was the second or third highest draft pick out of Wake Forest University, behind Chris Paul and Tim Duncan.
oh
Um,
wow,
yeah, so a couple of soccer players have surpassed me and athletes, which is great.
yeah,
I want
yeah.
them to. But yeah, man, it was a dream come true. And I can't remember the last part of your question there. Oh, what was it like?
Oh,
What's it like to play?
yeah.
As a competitor, it's really hard to like soak in every level, because what tends to happen is you set the goal, right? And then when you reach
Hmm.
that goal, you just set another goal,
Yeah.
right? And then you reach
Yeah.
that goal and you set another goal. And so there's a great TED talk. It's like you can find happiness and joy on this side of the goal. And if you can do that, I believe you're gonna enjoy the goal much more and actually go farther.
Hmm.
What we tend to think is that when we reach that goal, it's going to fulfill us and make us happy, and it
Hmm.
doesn't, right? So
Yeah.
as a competitor, it's like, okay, I'm in college, it's like I just want to play, right? And then it's
Yeah.
like I just want to start, and then it's
Yeah.
like I just want to start every game.
Yeah.
Then you get drafted, and you're just happy to be there for a little bit, and then you're
Yeah.
like, man, I gotta reach my goals, and
Yeah.
so you're always wanting for more and trying to become the best, and that's a little bit of what makes you good.
Mhm.
is you have that hunger, you have that desire to compete and get better and grow and continue to chase your goals and dreams.
Yeah, I mean that's a really inspiring journey. I mean, even your senior year, not knowing that you were gonna go pro, it's cool that you really made your career out of it as well. And I just wanted to go into the next question now. Like, was there a specific moment during or after your playing career when you realized like you want to transition into the business and leadership side of sports?
No. Um, I think the most asked question I got as a pro athlete is, what are you going to do when you're done playing?
Yeah.
And so, great question, right? Made me think about it, but I hadn't I hadn't thought that far. I didn't know, like I think for me, I didn't most athletes don't retire on their own,
Yeah.
right? Like most athletes aren't like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, they can go out on their own terms,
Yeah.
right? So you look at I think in pro sports, soccer is like the smallest average for career. It's like
Mhm.
1, 2 years, right? Average player gets 1, 2 years as a pro, right?
Yeah.
And so I was able to make it 9, which was great, but I
Yeah.
wasn't satisfied, which
Yeah.
is there's strange, right? So man, I didn't choose. I actually kind of ended up being forced to retire.
Mhm.
Had hip surgeries, had some issues, fell out with the team.
Yeah.
Um, so it was difficult, right? Like retiring in the first place, then you have I had 3 surgeries within
Wow.
like the first 2 months that I retired.
Yeah.
And I had a kid, and so that's obviously a big deal, like
Mhm.
having a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there was a lot going on in life. And man, the real world, what I mean by that is life outside of pro sports sucks.
Uh-huh.
My wife says it best that being a pro athlete's a false sense of reality. Like the world caters to you. And
Mhm.
so there's a big difference between former and retired versus current.
Yeah.
And that was difficult. I mean, I'm at a place in my life now where I can look back and be thankful for the journey and everything
Yeah.
that came with that, but it took a long time to get there.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that's just the biggest part about playing professional sports is thinking about what you can do after. And I actually had a question about that. And so, when you were a player, like, was that when you started thinking about life after soccer, or was it really like after you retired and you had all those surgeries and everything? Is the way you started to realize like, okay, I need to move on to something else because soccer's not gonna last forever for me in terms of professional sports.
Yeah, I thought about it for sure as a pro. I just never really knew what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I love Jesus, and he's saved my life and changed my life. And that
Yeah,
happened my junior year in college.
yeah,
And so that was like a big deal to me. And I knew that when I became a pro athlete, this was the platform that he had given me
mm,
to share his name and his love and to love on other people, right? And to do good in the world.
mm,
And I capitalized on that. It just, again, like part of it is I was all in and I
yeah,
did. I like it was, I was a pro and right, like tried to make it a career and last as long as I could.
yeah,
But if I could go back, I'd do a lot of things differently. But
yeah,
unfortunately, that's how life works, right? Like we
yeah,
don't get to see ahead and then go back and do it, right? Like we live
yeah,
and we learn.
yeah,
And so I'm just a big proponent of like, well, Lindsey Vonn said, interesting enough, came back from retirement, said pro athletes die twice, right?
yeah,
And when you retire, it's a death that you'll experience for the rest of your life. And
yeah,
so I believe that in a certain sense. And so, I think I wish I would have done a lot more to prepare for life after sport, right?
yeah,
I had a good education. I wish, some guys like knew what they wanted to do, like whether it was a financial planner or whatever. So they took classes and credits and even internships.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
wasn't that smart, man. I
yeah,
wish I did. I wish I
yeah.
would have prepared a little bit better for life after.
Yeah, I mean, still, I think it's great that you learned from your mistakes. You moved on. You learned a lot from them, and I think overall that's a great mentality to have. Try to live by that myself, especially with school and all these other things. Just learning from your mistakes and moving on. So we just talked a little bit about your playing career, and I wanted to switch over to your current role. So, like for those who aren't familiar, can you talk a little bit about what soccer resilience does?
Yeah, so I actually am currently no longer involved with soccer resilience.
Uh,
But I'll tell you how I got there. Can I do that?
yeah, that works.
Yeah, so I got a job when I retired and I was traveling and I was
Mm-hmm.
having kids and I was like, man, I don't want to spend time away from my kids. I want to be home.
Yeah.
And so my faith's important to me. I was learning about the greatest transition of wealth in the history of the world, baby boomers retiring. And
Hmm.
baby boomers owned a lot of businesses in the US, right? And
Yeah.
so I told my wife in 2019, hey, babe, as soon as you give me permission, I'm gonna leave my job and go buy businesses and run
Hmm.
them for the glory of Jesus. And
Yeah.
so in January 2020, she gave me that. She gave
Yeah.
me permission. I left.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
no idea COVID was coming. I really didn't know what I was doing. But I knew that whatever I wanted to do with my life, that I wanted to do it for the glory of God. I
Yeah.
wanted to do it as a believer in Jesus, I believe the words of the Bible. And if there is eternity after this, I take
Yeah.
that very seriously,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
to live my life that way.
Hmm.
And so I ended up not buying a business, but starting a business. And
Hmm.
so in the Bible, I think it's Second Corinthians 1, 4, and 5, it
Hmm.
says that when we go through things, God comforts us so
Hmm.
that we can use the comfort that God gives us to comfort others who go through the same things that we have gone through.
Hmm.
Basically, in short order, turning our pain into purpose.
Yeah.
And so my looking back on my career, my biggest regret was not focusing on the mental side of the game. And I
Hmm.
really struggled, right? Like sports psychologists, we didn't have them. I believe that it's over 80% of life, right? And the game.
Yeah.
But they didn't have someone to help you with that, right? They had
Yeah.
everybody else, acupuncturists, needlers, cuppers, masseusers, you name it. And so I teamed up with Dr. Brad Miller, who's a clinical psychologist, and was trying to do the same thing I was doing, turn my pain into purpose. And we ran soccer resilience for 4 years. There was a
Hmm.
lot of buzz around it, Tokyo Olympics, COVID, mental health, and so we did a lot of awesome things, man. We basically used the game to teach skills,
Yeah.
right? Nelson Mandela said that sport's the greatest opportunity to change the world, and we believe that.
Yeah.
And so we worked with youth soccer clubs, parents, players, and coaches. We worked with colleges. We even worked with pro organizations. I ended up selling my shares in that business to Diego Bocanegra.
Hmm.
Carlos Bocanegra, if you know anything about
Hmm.
U.S. soccer, his brother, who was a good soccer player in his right. And so he and Dr. Brad Miller are continuing to carry that on.
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean that's super cool. I think over the past few years I've definitely seen a lot of changes in the mental side of the sport, especially, and I've interviewed a couple of mental performance coaches before this as well, and they've noticed the same thing, especially. I mean, I'm a big NBA fan, and I can see like a lot of people putting like sports psychologists and in their staff now, as well as their like physical trainers and all that. So I think that's super important, and it's really cool to see as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not part of Soccer Resilience anymore, but can you talk a little bit about what your role looked like as a CEO and founder of Soccer Resilience?
Yeah. I think starting a business, if you look at the statistics of how long businesses survive, startups survive, right? It's like 50% fail in the first year, and
Yeah.
after like 3 years, it's like 90% fail.
Hmm.
It's extremely difficult. I like to
Yeah.
equate it to pro sports, right? In pro
Yeah.
sports, you got to eat, you got to drink, you got to sleep, you got to take care of yourself, you got to work really, really hard, right? In business, there are 12 billion things you can do, but you have to figure out what are the most important three to five. And
Yeah.
that's very difficult, right?
Yeah.
Especially we were kind of new, right? Like there weren't that many people doing this, talking about it. And so you just kind of try to figure it out as you go, right? So as
Yeah.
CEO, I did have a business partner, Dr. Brad, but he has his own thriving clinical psychology practice. So
Hmm.
I was doing it all, man. I was building websites.
Yeah.
We went the app route for 6 months, doing finances, invoicing,
Yeah.
chasing down clients to get paid,
Yeah.
trying to sell it right, trying to
Yeah.
get new customers, get new clients. So you name it, man. As a startup founder, CEO, you're doing everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, you learn a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to learn a lot during that time.
Yeah.
But often, Kush, is that, man, learning is sucks and it's hard,
Yeah.
right? It's not
Yeah.
fun all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's like, man, I'm beating my head against the wall
Yeah.
and I got to do it every single day, but I'm
Yeah.
learning. And
Yeah.
so I learned a lot and
Yeah.
it wasn't all fun.
Yeah. I mean, for a business, it's gonna be tough for tough for sure, especially in the sports business. There's so many different fields you can go into, and I mean it's really cool that you found your niche and you want to stick with soccer. And I mean that's just super inspiring as well. So did you always want to do business, or was that more of like you found out later? Because I mean you talked earlier that you had a job and everything. Like, did you really want to continue with business, or was that just like something which came up later in your life?
I wish I mean, I was kind of one of those kids, like, I didn't really care about school.
Yeah.
And it's so stupid, man. Like, you should care. You should care about school. And you
Yeah.
should, like, really, like, capitalize on the opportunity, right? So, like, I went to Wake Forest University, which is, like, one of the greatest universities in the country, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was just about like getting through. It was about focusing on soccer. It was about playing. I didn't have the wherewithal to understand that, man, I'm going to use my brain a lot longer than I'm going to use my body for soccer.
Mhm.
And so I just didn't, man, again, like it was soccer. It's what I cared about. I loved to play. And I was trying to ride that as far as I could. And yeah, there were thoughts about like, hey, what am I going to do after life? But I never really knew, right?
Mhm.
And what I should have done is just pick something and studied it or take course or get an internship, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't. So
Yeah.
I just thought I always encourage like people. I mean, man, I wasn't in high school. Like I was an idiot. You're in high school, right?
Yeah. I'm a
Like I
junior
was
right
an
now.
idiot. I was making really, really bad decisions, man, because I just whatever it is, I
Mhm.
did it. And so I wish I would have lived my life a lot differently and made a lot of
Mhm.
different choices. And I do believe this, man. I believe that life is about choices. And the
Yeah.
choices you make impact the rest of your life. They impact your entire world, they impact all those around you. Again, I said this in the opening, but like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jesus Christ. I
Mhm.
also wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my parents, it wasn't for my awesome coaches, it wasn't for my friend. Like there is no such thing as a self-made man, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody does it on their own. We
Yeah.
have tons of help. And just the things that have to go right for you to make it to the pro level, it's a million different things, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, business money makes the world go round, and I wish I would have been more intentional about learning it while I was a
Mhm.
pro.
Mhm.
Um, as a pro, we had a lot of free time,
Yeah.
and so I wish I would have used it better.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. You talked about your journey a lot, and I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things you would want to change, but I think everybody can say the same thing for their journey as
Yep.
well. And it's I mean, it's great that you're learning from it because I mean, just going from a high schooler making bad decisions, just like your life could have been completely different from where you are right now. Like
Yeah.
playing as a pro is something special and things some people only dream of doing. And I mean, it's insane that you got the opportunity to play that, and it's I like that you're really thankful for it too. It's a great mindset to have. So
Thanks,
we
man.
just talked a little bit about soccer resilience, and I've also seen just doing my research about you is that you've also expanded to other places. Like you have sales, marketing, operations, you have LLC. Can you talk a little bit about those areas of your life and how those have like developed your skills?
Yeah, well, I actually started my first business while I was playing as a pro athlete. I
Hmm.
started my first business in 2011, and that's really because of my dad and my wife. My wife owns her own business and just celebrated 14 years, but my
Oh,
wife and my dad
congratulations!
during my pro career, the pro career is really long. So like we have 1.5, 2 months, right, in the off season,
Hmm.
depending on how far you go in the playoffs.
Hmm.
Well, I started my own camp, and so
Hmm.
Wells Thompson Soccer was my very first business. I ran camps in the off season, and they were spend the night camps, and I'd have four of my pro buddies come join me. We'd do a lock in at my high school, and
Hmm.
we'd just play soccer. We'd bring in speakers, we'd share our stories with them. We just try to encourage them and love on the kids and give back, right, and teach them
Yeah,
soccer.
yeah.
So that was my first business. What was the original question?
You were expanding into other areas about like sales, marketing,
Oh yeah.
operations, and all that. So I just wanted to see how
Yeah.
those like develop your skills.
Yeah, so I love soccer, man, but I have a very complicated relationship with it. So like I
Hmm.
really didn't want to get back into soccer. Soccer resilience, I felt like God really led me to that.
Hmm.
And I was so passionate about it, which I don't believe is always the case that if you're passionate about something, you should start that business,
Hmm.
because it can cloud things. But yeah, I felt led to that. And so I have actually preferred to stay out of soccer. I love coaching. I got three kids, right? 11, 9,
Hmm.
7. And
Yeah.
so we're talking a lot about business here, but
Hmm.
and I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was playing, but I always knew I wanted to have kids and a family. Like that,
Yeah.
bigger than soccer, that was my goal, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a husband and I wanted to be a father. And
Yeah.
so I'm living that out now. That's my ultimate dream, and
Yeah.
it's way better than anything soccer ever gave me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've really actually found a lot. I've preferred to find myself outside of the game.
Hmm.
Like I actually, if I had my way, I would coach. But
Hmm.
because coaches don't have a life, I mean, you talk about underpaid coaches and
Hmm.
teachers.
Hmm.
They change more lives in a year than most people in a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I didn't want to sacrifice time away from my family to do something that I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I've tried to find stuff outside of that, and it's been difficult. Again, life, the theme of life, man, is falling down and getting back up again, right? You said
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
living and learning and trying to
Yeah.
use what happens and not let it drag you down, but use it to lift you up.
Hmm.
And so, I really found my joy for like operations because I went to work at a shipping container business, right?
Hmm.
Like, no, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just tried it
Hmm.
out. And so I think that's a thing is like you've heard of growth mindset, fixed mindset,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's always trying, it's always learning, it's always like doing and acting as opposed to just like sitting back and praying that things are going to work out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really kind of how I understood all that other stuff. My wife's a marketer. Uh, so I'm a friendly guy, right,
Hmm.
Kush? And
Yeah.
so we flew commercial in the MLS. And so I'd meet
Yeah.
people all the time and they'd
Yeah.
say, "What do you want to do after sports?" And I go, "I don't know." They go, "Hey, you'd be awesome at sales."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I don't like sales." But you know
Uh-huh.
what I didn't understand is that everything is sales.
Yeah.
I will sell my wife tomorrow, like, "Hey, babe, can you watch the kids for an extra hour so I can go for a long run?"
Yeah.
Like I'll sell my kids tonight to eat broccoli.
Yeah.
Everything is sales, man. And so
Yeah.
I wish I understood that. And I think what we were really discussing here during this time is like so much of life has to do with your mindset,
Yeah.
what you think about it, how you approach it.
Yeah.
And so, again, just exposing yourself to those new ideas and trying new things really helps you understand those things.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean that's insane. Like I mean, just the more that we talk, I'm just getting to learn more about your mindset, and it's really inspiring and something I'm definitely gonna incorporate into my life too. I mean, being selfless and everything, that's really cool in my opinion.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about your business endeavors, and I wanted to shift more over to like the industry and um obviously like we talked about this earlier, like the mental health industry was like is grown a lot in sports industry especially over the past few years. Can you talk like a little bit about the development and what you've seen personally through like a business and industry standpoint?
Yeah, quick question for you, Kush.
Yeah,
How much of the game is mental? Zero
like
to 100, right or wrong answer.
100. You have it's fully
100,
mental, in my
right?
opinion. Yeah.
So do you find it fascinating how when I played Major League Soccer, I still know that to this day there are still Major League Soccer teams that don't have sports psychologists?
Oh wow. Even today.
Aren't they missing them? If life in the game is 100%, how come we're not addressing this? And I
Yeah.
don't know why. I think there's a stigma. I think it's weird.
Yeah.
What one thing we tried to figure out was, man, how do we talk about this, right? There's so
Hmm.
many misconceptions. There's so many stereotypes around this. You actually don't separate your body from your brain or your brain from your body when you train it, right? Like
Yeah.
oftentimes you train your brain by using your body, right? Like when you push yourself past your limit, you're really training your brain to go, man, I can do hard things. I can be
Yeah.
better at this, right?
Yeah.
And so really what we tried to do is just educate, we tried to teach, we tried to sell it, right? We were
Hmm.
selling, hey man, this is important for you, not just in life or not just in the game, but in life.
Yeah.
Do you know the percentage of youth athletes that will go pro?
It's like less than 2 or 1%.
Yeah, right. Less than
Yeah.
1%, right? So
Yeah.
if that's the case, what is the point of youth sports,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was the question that we were posing to people, right?
Hmm.
But we live and die. You soccer coaches, you can go
Hmm.
to soccer fields, you can go to basketball courts. Man, youth sports is like it's life or death.
Yeah.
That's how we act, and it's not. And to
Mhm.
me, I've always just thought that sport is a tool to teach kids lessons, right?
Mhm.
And so our philosophy was, man, during COVID, schools are ramping up their resilience programs, right? They're introducing mindfulness, they're talking about meditation, they're talking about self-talk. Well, why aren't sports clubs doing this? And our
Yeah.
core target audience, which is what it took us a while to figure out, was youth soccer clubs, right? Like if
Mhm.
we can teach these kids these things at a young age, teach the parents, because the parents and the coaches need it just as well, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, as a parent, you don't know anything. Like, when I had kids, I was like, I want them to be good. I was like, I don't actually care if they're good at soccer.
Yeah.
But then when they got to the age where they're playing soccer, I found out I really cared inside
Yeah.
because we as society elevate sports to this astronomical level, right? It means
Mhm.
more than anything.
Yeah.
And so God's done a whole lot of work in me, man. And I've
Yeah.
been humbled and I've eaten pie and I've fallen on my face. I've had to apologize to my kids all the time because I'm acting like a maniac on the sidelines for no
Yeah.
freaking reason, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a tool. I've always thought that sport
Mhm.
is a tool, and I think that, whatever we do, in whatever business you go into, right? In whatever you do in life, you can use that for good or for bad, and the choice is ours.
Yeah.
And so again, at the end of the day, life is full of ups and downs, it's full of crap hitting you in the face,
Mhm.
it's full of struggle. And it's through that struggle that we really find out about ourselves. It's, like DMX is like, we don't really appreciate the sunshine until we have the rain. I
Yeah.
think maybe that was Tupac,
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
But, it's life. So
Yeah.
I'm rambling a little bit, but
No, no, it's all good. I mean, I love hearing that, and I just want to follow up on that. You said you're talking about especially the stigma behind mental side of sports. Where do you think that comes from? Because I mean, you can definitely see stuff on social media, and they're like, "Oh, you got to work hard, you got to push the limits." Like you see people like Kobe Bryant, who's obviously one of the best NBA players of all time, right? And he's talking about, "Oh yeah, I do like 4 to 5 sessions a day," or there's also coaches doing your practices saying like, guys, we got to push through, and all this. Like, where you think the stigma comes from? Or I mean, obviously you played professional soccer and you've seen a lot more sports than a lot of people in this world. Where do you think that stigma is coming from?
well, I think as humans, we're prideful.
Hmm.
I think that we don't want to show weakness,
Yeah.
especially if it impacts your career and your livelihood.
Hmm.
So like as a pro, could I go to my coach and be like, "Hey, coach, I'm really struggling mentally." Well,
Hmm.
what he's gonna be like, "You ain't playing this weekend. What do you mean you're struggling, man? What does that even
Hmm.
mean?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, to me, it's fascinating how Kobe Bryant talks about it, LeBron James talks about it, every Michael Phelps talks about it,
Hmm.
every like Tom Brady talks about it, everyone
Hmm.
talks about it, right?
Yeah.
And so we would ask that question, "Hey, what percentage do you think is mental?" And they would say 100%,
Hmm.
90%. Well, what are you doing to address it? Was always our follow-up question.
Hmm.
So I think that a lot of the struggles that we had at Soccer Resilience was figuring out why people
Hmm.
weren't buying it. If you believe in it, why won't you invest in it?
Hmm.
But maybe that's the thing that we figured out was like people didn't really believe in it because you put your money where your mouth is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, but I think it's hard, like what age do you start,
Hmm.
and I don't know, it's weird. It's just different, like we
Hmm.
can't see it. It's like God, right? Like
Yeah.
I will stake my life on Jesus.
Hmm.
But there's other people that won't because they can't see him,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you can't see gravity. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I don't know. I just think we're at the end of the day, quite simply, we're prideful people.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's an issue of like practicality of how we address this with youth soccer clubs or youth sports or college teams. And, we're all kind of brought up differently. So some people believe in it, some people don't.
Hmm.
I just think it boggled my mind how
Yeah.
people wouldn't buy it when
Yeah.
everyone, the greatest athletes, the greatest business people in the world talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
meditate, they say it's mental, but a lot of people didn't want to invest in it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen. I've seen a lot of research in terms of like TED Talks. I've seen even through social media that a lot of people definitely talk about like the mental side of sports a lot. You can see it. I think there's one NBA player. His name's Jaden Ivey who just got traded, and he's been open about his mental health journey, and because he was rolling with his old team, and then now they traded him, and now he's obviously that's a tough place to be, especially when you've been there since the team was really bad, and now you're back up. So I think that's interesting for sure. That some people still refuse to change it, even though you see the best players, like you mentioned, LeBron James, Michael Phelps, Kobe Bryant, all these people talking about the mental side of the game. So I think obviously
But
we've seen developments, but there's a long way to go from here, especially. So
but it ties into business too, right? Like, do you have
yeah,
the right product for your market? Who is your
yeah,
core audience, right?
yeah,
And so, I think one of the things that's really hard in business is going, you know, like I would reach out to people and ask them for their suggestions, right? So you have these really smart, successful people going, "Hey, man, this is what I would do." And you're like, oh, okay, I'll try that. And then
hmm,
you're like, oh man, I don't know if that's actually because he doesn't know the business like I know the business. So,
yeah,
right, it's like trusting your instincts. Hey, does this work? Trying things out. And so there's a lot that goes into it. I don't
hmm,
think it's as simple as going, why don't you pay for it? Because you have to have a product that people want to buy that's helping
hmm,
them,
yeah,
right? And I think an issue that we ran into was how do you track it? How do
yeah,
I know that what I'm paying you to do is helping my people?
yeah.
And so there's a lot. It's complicated.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely, because the mental side is the one thing of sports you can't measure. Like you can measure, oh, I'm lifting more this week. I'm making more shots this week. My goal percentage is up, or as a goalie, my save percentage is up. But then something you can't measure is, oh, my mental health is better. Like how do you classify that? Because that's such a subjective matter. So I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest complication in that industry. So yeah. I mean, I wanted to thank you so much for your time. It was a really great conversation. I learned a lot, and especially about your mindset and um, being in all these different fields. So before we wrapped up, I just had one question for me and my audience. Like, what advice would you have for me and my audience, especially those who are trying to break into the sports business industry but aren't sure like what direction to take or how to stand out in that industry?
Yeah, just do what you're doing, man. Try
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
experiment,
yeah,
right? Like you're either gonna like it or you don't,
yeah,
right? So the more that you do and the more you try something, like again, just goes back to like not sitting and waiting and trying to, but like try it, man. Like you can
yeah.
sit and read books all day, but until you actually get out there and try to do something,
Mhm.
you're really not gonna figure it out, right?
Yeah,
Um, so that's what I would say. I think too, man, just last thing, knowing who I am is like, on my deathbed, I'm not going to ask for my championship ring.
yeah,
No, I'm not going to ask for like my closing ratio in business or
yeah,
sales, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's going to be relationships, it's going to be people, it's going to be my faith.
yeah,
It's going to be just like, so I think that's important to realize is like it is so easy to try to do and achieve, but there's only true happiness and true joy comes from Jesus, man.
mhm,
I truly believe that.
yeah. I mean, I think that was a great way to wrap it up. And I mean, again, thank you so much for your time today. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Huge thanks for Mr. Thompson for coming over, sharing your stories and insights. And you can check out his work through the links below. And if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to leave a subscription and a review. I'm Kushag, and I'll catch you in the next episode.